In gangster movies, the cliché is, "Sorry mate, it's just business, nothing personal." An example of this law was the fate of the gangster Roy DiMeo, who betrayed his friends and, as a result, was betrayed by his friends. Membership in mafia families gave criminals not only the rights, but also the obligation to unquestioningly obey their superiors. Perhaps the last mobster who allowed himself to spit on the orders of the boss was Roy DiMeo. And for a long time he got away with it, because he was considered the most skilled killer of the mafia. The FBI suspected Roy DiMeo of 70 murders, and according to criminologists, he accounted for between 200 and 250 corpses. Roy DiMeo was born in 1942 in the USA, in a working-class family of immigrants from Italy. After leaving school at the age of 17, he began to engage in usury. Since Roy was a big and stern guy, he combined the professions of a pawnbroker and a collector. He was good at shaking money out of debtors. So he earned decently and soon got a family, a wife and 3 children. At work, Roy DiMeo was under the roof of the Lucchese family, but one day he met Anthony Gaggi, a soldier of the Gambino family. Since then, fate has linked this couple until the end of their days. Gaggi has always been DiMeo's handler, so their relationship cannot be called a friendship, but rather a hellish union. To begin with, Anthony convinced Roy to change the roof and work for the Gambino family, promising various benefits. He kept his word. DiMeo got the opportunity to expand the business and recruited his friends into the new team. In addition to his cousin Joseph "Dracula" Guglielmo, it included Chris Rosenberg, Joseph and Patrick Testa, Anthony Center, and Henry Borelli. Folk crept up unprincipled, ready for the sake of money for any crime. DiMeo began a double life. In front of neighbors and business partners, he built himself a decent businessman, especially since in 1972 he became a member of the Brooklyn Credit Union. And with friends he was himself. Nothing was sacred to Roy. He used membership in a credit union for his image and money laundering, and earned them through various criminal ways. His team was engaged in knocking out debts, stealing cars, selling drugs. Roy and his comrades even started making pornographic snuff films with elements of pedophilia and bestiality. When Anthony Gaggi found out about their cinematic activities, he ordered DiMeo to stop it, as contrary to mafia concepts. Roy agreed in words, but in fact continued to make snuff movies, while increasing the compensation for Gaggi so that he turned a blind eye to this. And Anthony closed. But soon the cinematography really had to be tied up. DiMeo's partner in the film business, Paul Rotenberg, got burned on porn films. During the search, checks were found on him. Signed by Roy. It was a thread through which the investigation could get to DiMeo, and Roy decided to cut it off. On July 30, 1973, Rotenberg was found shot to death. The murder remained unsolved, and the DiMeo team, having tasted blood, was no longer afraid of wet deeds. DiMeo's phrase became famous: "No one understands what it is to kill." The power you have when you kill a person makes you equal with God. Leave this guy alive or kill him. It's impossible to know until you experience it. In 1974, DiMeo's team launched their signature killing method, which they called the Twin Method, after the name of the bar DiMeo owned. Roy DiMeo and his henchmen carried out most of the murders in this bar, and according to the same scenario. The victim was led through the side door, and she fell into an empty room, where someone from the team, and most often DiMeo himself, shot her in the head with a pistol with a silencer, and Chris Rosenberg plunged a knife into the heart for reliability. Then they quickly wrapped the victim's head in a towel so as not to stain the room with blood, and dragged her to the bathroom, where they hung the corpse upside down to drain the blood. In his youth, Roy DiMeo worked as a butcher's assistant and had the skills to butcher carcasses. He used these skills to butcher the bodies of dead people. They were packed in bags and taken to a landfill located on Fontaine Avenue. Tons of garbage were brought there every day, so no one rummaged through the bags there. It is known that for the first time this method of murder was tested by the Demio team in 1974 on the owner of the auto repair shop, Andre Katz. He showed obstinacy, not only did not cave in before Roy, but also sent him to hell. Then an operation was developed to eliminate it. One of Henry Borley's girlfriends seduced Katz and lured him to a secluded place for lovemaking. And there, out of nowhere, Demio's killers appeared, stabbed the victim with a butcher's knife and cut it into pieces. Katz's head was crushed in a compactor, and other parts of the body were bagged and thrown into the supermarket trash. But the remains were found there, and the investigators determined that they belonged to Katz. They found the girl he went on a date with. She did not remain silent. Henry Borelli and Joseph Test were arrested on suspicion of murder, but the court acquitted them due to lack of evidence. And Demio realized that the remains should be hidden better, and decided to take them to a landfill. Basically, he carried out contracts from the Gambino family to eliminate people suspected of having links with the police. But at the same time he also accepted leftist orders from other mafia families. Moreover, he contracted from Acruja inexpensively, from $5,000. Of course, he dumped in price, but he took it in quantity. One of his partners once said that, while in the Gemini bar, he wandered into the bathroom and found 3 corpses hanging over the bath at once. He reported what he had seen to Demio, who reassured him, "It's nothing. Never mind, just an urgent order. We'll remove everything soon." Demio himself needed the murders in many ways to raise his authority in criminal circles, and he earned money with great success in other fields. First of all, drugs. In his bar, he sold cocaine, and in a car repair shop in the Canarsie region, he sold marijuana, which was delivered to him from Colombia. Meanwhile, the bosses of the Gambino family, on pain of death, forbade their people to sell drugs, considering it a dirty business, unworthy of the high rank of a mafioso. Gadji, of course, knew about Roy's drug business, but kept quiet, for which he received additional payment from him. Meanwhile, Roy Demio created another team, Car Thieves. Each of its members earned $25,000 a week, but he also worked in good conscience. Hundreds of stolen cars left for Kuwait and Puerto Rico. It seemed that everything in Roy's life was going well. He was getting rich, and even thanks to Gadji's efforts, he was honored to be officially accepted into the Gambino family. Let him be a soldier to begin with, but that meant a lot. And then a black streak began. First, his closest friend and assistant Chris Rosenberg screwed up, who freaked out at a drug deal and flunked 4 Cubans. Demio decided that the Cubans would take revenge, mistook student Dominic Ragucci for their killer and shot him in the car. The Cubans went the other way, they complained to the New York Mafia, and she ordered Roy to kill a friend of Rosenberg. And he carried out the order. Then a soldier of the Gambino family, James Eppolito, complained to Castellano that Gadji and Demio were selling drugs. Those in response said that Eppolito himself sells drugs. The mafia boss faced a choice, whom to punish. In the end, he took the side of the well-deserved killer Demio and gave him permission to deal with James. Gadji and Demio shot Eppolito's father and son right on the street. But at the same time, a policeman who happened to be nearby wounded and detained Gadji, and he ended up behind bars. In 1982, the FBI became interested in the fact that many missing and murdered people were last seen entering the Twins bar, owned by Roy Demio. The Mafia found out about this and decided to act proactively. Moreover, the FBI intercepted a telephone conversation in which one of the leaders of the Mafia, John Gotti, ordered his assistant to eliminate Roy. And the feds decided not to interfere with the gangsters. According to the old Mafia tradition, Roy Demio was eliminated by his closest associates, Joseph Testa and Anthony Center. They carried out the order and at the same time they ensured themselves, fearing that, falling into the hands of the FBI, Roy would betray their entire team. On January 18, 1983, the police received a call about an abandoned Cadillac. The frozen body of Roy Demio was found in the trunk of a car with multiple gunshot wounds. That's all, friends. Thank you for watching. See you again. By the way, don't subscribe to the channel.